There are 9 million bicycles in Beijing, according to KTMOLI's 2005 heat zone. An estimate from the city government in 2009 suggested the real figure may be closer to 30 million. But over the past 15 years, the number of those bicycles being used for journeys in the streets of the city has already dropped more than half. In the contrast, the number of cars in Beijing has increased fivefold, adding an additional 4 million cars to the city's 1,400 kilometers of road. The central government wants to change this and has challenged all of the China's cities with more than 10 million residents to get their sidewalks and bike lanes busy with 45% of the city traffic flow. In Beijing, only 16% of all traffic now travels by bike. So what would it take to persuade commuters to leave their cars and return to pedal power? China Daily reporter and regular Beijing cyclist DJ Clark discussed with me some of the challenges of cycling the city streets.
So when I first came to Beijing, I had this romantic notion of taking a bicycle, riding around the Hutong. I'd seen all the pictures from the 1970s of everyone on bikes. I know it's a very flat city, it's perfect for cycling. But when I got here, I found there were a few obstacles to make things a little bit harder. So it took me actually a year before I bought my bicycle. And when I did, I started to cycle to the university where I teach 1 or 2 days a week. It's about a 40-minute cycle, and I have 3 options to get to the university. The first option is to take a car. Now I don't have a car, so it would be a taxi, but in rush hour traffic that can take up to an hour and a half just to get to the university. I can take the subway. It's about 50 minutes on the subway, and the subway though at that time in the morning and when I'm coming back is extremely busy, so I'm packed in like a sardine. And then the last option I had is to take my bike, and my bike is actually the quickest. It's about 40 minutes. But there are some challenges, the first mainly being pollution, that I have to check that the pollution's not too heavy before I take off. But once I get going, there are some other obstacles in the way. But at the moment, it's my preferred means of getting to work. So in Beijing, the infrastructure is there. There's cycle lanes all over Beijing. I've never seen a city with so many cycle lanes. The problem is the way that they are policed and the way that they're used. The first problem is there's too many cars in the cycle lanes. They're used for parking, they're used for cars to drive, people pulling over, taxis stopping. And this is a constant problem because it forces the bicycles out into the main traffic. And the second problem is with the bus lanes, because the bus is often stopped. The bus stops are inside the cycle lanes, and we are constantly struggling as cyclists with buses crossing us and forcing us out into the traffic, and then when we're in the traffic trying to pass them, they're pulling out and pushing us even further out into the traffic or making us having to suddenly brake. And then the third problem is this constant flow of traffic in both ways. So you have a cycle lane on the right-hand side of the road, but you have cycles and carts and all things coming in the opposite direction, which means as you're going, you have to constantly be dodging in and out of traffic going both ways. If they can solve those 3 problems, I think they can make cycling really attractive in Beijing.
With Beijing already having an extensive network of bike lanes covering most of its roads, it seems the challenge of providing its citizens with a safe means to get to work on the bike could be achieved by the 2015 deadline. The harder task, however, could be persuade millions of new car owners to give up the comfort of a motorized ride and get back on their bikes. This is Zhang Yuchen in Beijing for China Daily.